Good morning, Starshines. My name is DH. My pronouns are they, them, and this is the Cozycast, episode 3. Today is Wednesday, the 27th of March. Hopefully you will be seeing this video later today. If not, it'll be tomorrow. It's been a bit of a week here, so I just wasn't able to get it filmed as early as I usually do. But welcome back, and especially welcome to all of the new subscribers. Once again, the response to the Cozycast has just been unbelievable. I'm truly blown away by the amount of support that you guys have shown. The new people showing up to the live streams has been just amazing. It's been an incredible few weeks. So yes, welcome to episode 3 of the Cozycast, where I'm slowly transforming into Flosstube. I originally started this podcast with the idea of it being a knitting podcast with occasional cross-stitching. But apparently I am now a cross-stitcher who knits and not a knitter who cross-stitches. So we're doing a bunch of stuff this week, today. All right. So one thing that I wanted to start incorporating into these podcasts, and I picked up this idea from the person that I'm going to be mentioning in just a second, is doing a channel shout out. And that means that every time I do a podcast, I want to just mention another YouTube channel that I really super enjoy. It could be a crafting channel, it could be a knitting, cross-stitch, crochet, it could be a gaming channel, just something that I've taken inspiration from. And I'm sure there are a few channels that if you watch them, you will know who I watch a lot of. But that being said, I got this idea from a certain YouTube channel. So they are the first channel I'm going to be doing for this shout out. I did consider doing like several shout outs per video, but I didn't know when I would run out of people to shout out. So have I said the word shout out enough? Let's talk about Cross Stitch the Globe. I discovered Cross Stitch the Globe recently through their series of the most expensive cross stitch patterns and kits that you can buy, which was super interesting. A friend of mine sent me that video, the most expensive patterns, and I was like, I know a lot of them are going to be the Thomas Kinkade Disney ones, and I was right. Most of the ones in the top 10 were the Disney series by Thomas Kinkade, which I actually have one of the minis. I have the mini of the Peter Pan that's just Peter Pan. It's about yay big around. But still, that was a super interesting video. So Cross Stitch the Globe, it's a pair of sisters. They talk about their cross-stitching adventures. They do a Flosstube as well as what they call Flosstube University, which is super, super interesting information, especially about full coverage pieces. So if you aren't sure about some aspects of full coverage, which I wasn't because I'm not a full coverage person, definitely check out Flosstube University, and their Flosstubes are just super entertaining. Their dynamic and the difference between their cross-stitching styles really reminds me of the differences between myself and Toot, just in terms of process versus project, and trying different things and getting hooked on certain designers and that sort of thing. So I'm going to pop a link to their YouTube down in the description below, but definitely check out Cross Stitch the Globe. I love their floss tubes because they're over an hour each. They are perfect to throw on when I am working on something else, and super interesting. And also they do have an Etsy store. I'm going to leave the link to that as well. Check that out for some really awesome full coverage pieces of scenic photography taken by one of the sisters. I really enjoy doing these floss tubes. I really enjoy doing these podcasts. It's not a floss tube yet. But once we get into the projects, you're going to see why I'm saying that. So let's talk about projects. First up, I do have a couple of FOs. It's amazing. The first FO is the one I'm wearing right now. This is the Stripy Sleeves pullover. I did an entire project vlog on it. I'm going to leave the link to that down below as well. So you can see kind of not quite start to finish, but most of the process of me choosing the yarn, going through the decision making in the process, and then just some clips of me knitting and stuff, and then a little bit of a wrap up at the end. So I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but I am going to get you to go watch that other video. The windows are open, so if you might hear some traffic outside. I've completely lost my train of thought. Squirrel. So this was a self-drafted pattern. It's a top-down, boxy style drop shoulder with a striped body and striped sleeves. The sleeves did turn out quite wide because I didn't want them too tight, but I think I overcompensated. You can see through the window that there's quite a bit of ease there. And I had said in the project vlog that I was happy with that. I was going to leave it. I don't know. I'm not going to rip back and reknit. I might sew a dart, and so just sew a line down here and then cut away the excess fabric. I haven't decided yet. I'm gonna try because I do really love this. I've been wearing this pretty much nonstop since I finished it, but the only problem I have with it is when I push up the sleeves, they don't stay up because there's no like tension there. And I mostly keep my sleeves pushed up when I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt. So yeah, so that might happen. If I do decide to make any modifications to this, I will update you in the following podcast, I guess. The other FO that I have, we've been working on it together on the live streams, and that is the Spring Ice Trigger Mitts. So here they are. We've got some lighting issues. So these trigger mitts, they are a traditional Newfoundland style of mitten. The Newfoundland is part of the Maritimes. I'm from Nova Scotia, which is also part of the Maritimes. So these are quite traditional to where I'm from as well. But the writer of the book is from Newfoundland and focuses specifically on Newfies. So as you can see, they've got kind of this extra finger. So you've got your forefinger here, your thumb here, and then the rest of your fingers are over here. It makes the gloves really nice. I mean, they're called trigger mitts because they're originally meant for hunters who would need to pull a trigger. But if you're shoveling snow, walking the dog, just even if you're going on transit, something like that, where you just need a little bit more dexterity, I love doing the trigger mitts. I also do an extra long cuff. So you can see if I was wearing a jacket or something, the jacket sleeve would come up to about here. So you're not getting snow on your arm in case you did get snow past the sleeve of your jacket. So this is the Spring Ice pattern. It's got this lovely Escher-like pattern, and then salt and pepper pattern for the hands and the finger and the thumb. The body of the mitt is done in gray. The finger is done in purple. The finger and thumb are done in light blue. So I am so happy with these. My goal is to finish every pattern in the book Saltwater Mittens. So with finishing these, I now only have 5 left to go. And my goal is to finish those by the end of this year. Do all 5 remaining patterns of mittens, and then find 5 more people to give them to, because I have a pair of wristers, which is the local term for fingerless gloves, and I have a pair of trigger mitts, and I don't really need any more. So I made a couple for my little cousins. That was nice because they were super quick. Baby mittens, you don't do a thumb, and they're like this big. So they went very fast. So that was a lot of fun. The yarn for these is Briggs & Little Heritage, which is a very super woolly, super rustic yarn that is grown, milled, dyed, and sold in the Maritimes. It's 100% Canadian wool. I love it because it creates a really nice, dense, waterproof fabric. I knit these, so the yarn itself is an Aran weight. I knit these on a 4mm needle. So the fabric that you get, especially because it's got the 2 layers of the color work, and that's part of why this salt and pepper pattern is so popular, because it creates that really dense double layer. It just creates really warm, waterproof, weatherproof, windproof mittens, and the longer you wear them, the more they kind of like felt to your hand, and they get even better. So I love these, and they don't usually take me super long to do as long as I don't get distracted, which was the problem with these. But if you are interested in joining the live streams, we actually finished this on Monday's live stream. So I finished the knitting and I wove in the ends and everything like live with my audience. Chat also picked out the pattern. I had pulled out the pattern book. I showed all the patterns I still had left to do. And then I just had a bunch of yarn in different colors, and my Twitch chat and YouTube chat just picked the colors and the pattern for me. So that was a lot of fun. I might do that for my next pair as well. I'm going to talk a little bit later about Whipgo, but my Whipgo call for April for knitting is another pair of these mittens in the Grenfell pattern. So, spring ice trigger mitts, done. Stripy sleeves pullover, done. This is the very first project finished in my Me Made wardrobe project, which made me want to finish all kinds of other things because it turned out so perfectly, exactly what I wanted, exactly the wearable, wonderful thing that I really wanted to have. So that's the FOs. So moving on to whips, the official full accounting of whips is 17, and that is 17 across knitting and cross stitch, which isn't a lot. For me, it's in the middle ground. It's not as many as I've had. It's not as few as I've had. I have honestly gotten down to a single whip at a time. I promise, it has happened. It didn't last for very long, but it happened. So let's talk about my Me Made wardrobe project whip, which is going to be my focus knitting project for right now. I've kind of got 2 knitting projects that I'm going to be working on for most of the month of April, in addition to casting on the Grenfell mats, which I haven't done yet. So let's talk about my citrine. So this is another project from my Me Made wardrobe project. And this is the citrine by Emily Green. Emily Brown? Emily Green. It is Emily Green. This is how far I've gotten thus far. I've just done the bottom ribbing and a little bit of the body. So this is just the back. As you can see, it's quite wide. It's another boxy construction, so on me, that means it's going to be significantly wider. I do have a 59-inch chest, so when I do a boxy construction, of course, I want some ease on either side of that. So I believe that this is about 63 inches, 64 inches, if laid out flat. The yarn I'm using is Yarbo Cookie in the colorway Bohemian. I love this yarn. It's got all my favorite colors in it, and it's just working up so lovely. One of my community members called it Galaxy yarn, which is just perfect. And I really love this pattern because it's quite a simple shape, but it's got some lovely structural details around the shoulders, which is completely my vibe. So this is going to be my main knitting project for April. I cast it on a little while ago. I am continuing to film for a project vlog for that as well. So that's the citrine. So my next few whips are cross stitch whips. So I'm going to get started with the cross stitch piece that kind of restarted my love of cross stitch a little while ago. It doesn't look like much right now because I did move it on the frame, but I'll throw up a picture here of kind of the central portion of it before I move the frame. So this is Kyrie and Sora from Kingdom Hearts. It is for a good friend of mine who I think watches the podcast. I don't think that they'll realize that this is for them. So I'm going to put it up against this board here so that you don't get the sunlight shining through. Yes, okay, that works. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay, so this is the piece. I just moved the frame. This was my Whipgo call for April, so I'm trying to get 1,500 stitches of this done. But basically, this is the tree trunk area, the top of the tree, I should say. So I'm trying to get like this portion completely finished before I move the frame. This pattern it's really fun to do. It's a lot of stitching. It's probably one of the biggest pieces I've ever attempted. Also, my lovely grime guard here was handmade for me by my dear friend Moonphased. And yeah. So I need more floss for this. I didn't have everything in stash. We just placed a Stitch Wit order. It should be here in the next couple of days, and then I'll be able to completely finish the sections that I want to finish. So this is Kyrie and Sora, and I believe it's from Needleminder Lair on Etsy is the pattern. So yes, and I will talk a little bit more about WhipGo in a minute or two. My other cross-stitch whip that you may have seen was the Celtic Goddess one. I can't remember if I was working on this last week, but this is the biggest cross-stitch piece I've ever attempted. I actually pulled it off of the hoop because I only have 2 cross-stitch frames, and so I moved the ones that I'm going to be working on in April into the frames, and the other 2 came off. So here she is. Let's get that board up again so you can actually see her in all of her glory. This is a beautiful printed Ada. It's a 14 count Ada. We got it off of Amazon. But my idea was, let's see if I can get that a little bit closer. So this pattern is a monochrome portrait of the Celtic Priestess, I believe it's called, by Raven Stitchcraft. And it's monochrome. It's in 6 colors of DMC in grays. I actually subbed those out for these warm shades of brown, and instead of doing the darkest color, which was black, I'm leaving those spots unstitched so that the space Ada can show through. So what I had done originally was I folded my Ada in quarters, marked the center, and then started working from the center. And then I kind of got stymied. I wasn't sure where to go from there, so I took a bit of a risk. I used a counting thread and zoomed up to the very top of the design and started working down from there. So I'm going to fill out this half of the design and then do this half of the design. So as you can see, it's kind of in these blocks. If I do a block this size, I think 8 times, I should be finished. So this is going to be hopefully finished this year, maybe sooner, because I really enjoy stitching on this. So when I finish my other goals, this might come back into the rotation. So that's the Celtic Priestess by Raven Stitchcraft on Etsy. I fold it in quarters with the stitching inside. And then I have, this is actually the bag that the Ada came in. I like these bags because they're pretty sturdy and they've got a nice little zip. I do not have fancy project bags. I have slightly fancier Ziploc bags, basically. Oh, come on, zip. Thank you. All right, and then this just gets stored until I work on it next. So those are my 3 ongoing whips that have already been ongoing. And then I have a couple new starts. 3 new starts, actually, in fact. I know, I'm so bad. I finished 2 things and started 3 new things. I know. I'm well aware. But this is how I roll, so this is what we're doing. All right, my first new start. So on March 19th, some of you may be aware, but Stardew Valley, which is a very popular cozy farming sim. It's kind of the gold standard of cozy farming sims, honestly. It had its first major content update in several years, the 1.6 update. It's huge, and the community was very excited for it. It is Toot's favorite game, like one of her favorite games. I don't want to say favorite game because I don't know, but one of her favorite games. And I knew that and we were kind of joking that as soon as it dropped, I would lose her. I wouldn't see them for weeks. It hasn't been that bad, honestly. But it did give me the drive to cast on an emotional support void chicken. So this is a void chicken. They are from the game. You get them after a witch curses your regular chickens. And I am using the knitting pattern, the emotional support chicken by the Knitting Room Los Angeles, I believe it is. This is a super popular pattern. A ton of people have made it. I am just making it a void chicken, basically. So I'm actually pretty far, and I'm trying to only work on this while they're playing. I mean, they have 40 hours in the game at this point since the relaunch, and I have not spent 40 hours working on this. However, I am fairly close to being finished. So this is my chicken. I'm using Lion Brand Heartland in Great Smoky Mountains for the main color here. And then this is Red Heart Impeccable, not Red Heart, Loops and Threads Impeccable in black for the accent colors. I'm probably going to do the belly as black as well. I'm not quite sure. But I really love this pattern. It's super clever. So you knit it all in one piece and garter stitch using short row shaping. And then I will basically fold it in half. See, now it looks like a chicken. Basically fold it in half, sew it up, and stuff it. And then there's a triangular shaped like stomach piece, basically. So I'm really close to the head. So I just need to do the head and then the stomach piece and then sew it all together. So it shouldn't take me too much longer. I was kind of hyper focusing on getting the spring ice trigger mitts done, so I wasn't working on this as much, but this yarn combination is super squashy and very soft, and as you can see, it's going to be quite a large chicken, so I'm quite excited about it. So this is my emotional support void chicken, and I am only working on it while Toot is actively playing Stardew Valley, which is, you know, several hours a day. So I'm getting lots of stitching time in on it. My other new start is, my two other new starts are both cross stitch as well. So if you're keeping track, this means that I have 13 knitting whips, most of which are hibernating. I've only got 2 out at the moment, and 4 cross stitch whips, 2 of which are hibernating and 2 of which I am actively working on. So right now I've kind of got 2 knitting and 2 cross stitch projects in active rotation, and then I'm going to add in the Grand Filaments probably in a week or so. We'll see. I need a slight break. The trigger mitts, like I said, they're super dense and super waterproof. Unfortunately, that means that the fabric is super stiff, and it can make my hands ache after a while to work on it. So I need a little bit of a break from that. But let's talk about my 2 new cross stitch whips. So the first one is one that I've actually had kitted up for ages, probably since last August, which is when I saw the pattern. The pattern is from Just Cross Stitch magazine, one of their Halloween issues. It's either Just Cross Stitch or Cross Stitcher. I'm pretty sure it's just Cross Stitch, but if I'm wrong, I will put it up here. And the pattern is the Spooktacular Sampler. So I'm going to put up, this is what it's supposed to look like. Now, the pattern is written for 28 count linen, and part of it calls for stitching 1/1. I don't have 28 count linen. I've never worked with 28 count. I don't particularly want to stitch 1/1 on 28 because that sounds painful. So I took this beautiful pattern and I basically completely recharted it. I loaded up Stitch Fiddle and just recharted the whole thing so that it would work with 14 count Ada. I made a few other little adjustments. So the 2 small figures I made into portraits of myself and Toot. So I did all of that, kitted it up completely, and then didn't start it and didn't touch it until last week. So it's been just sitting there waiting for me. But here it is. Let's get my board out again. And it's not in a frame right now because this was my March WIPCO call. I worked on it in March, and then I finished that, and now I've got April up. So here it is. I've just done this little central portion here. This is the house and the 2 figures. So you can see there's me and there's Toot. And then the rest of the pattern is going to look very similar with the trees and the text and then the borders. But I'm so happy with how this turned out. The little figures are so cute. And this is my first kind of traditional sampler, not Quaker, but like sampler style, vintage style, which is totally my vibe. I love kind of vintage samplers with a twist, or Quakers with a twist. The First We Drink the Coffee Quaker is 100% on my list, and a bunch of the Owl Forest ones, especially the dinosaur and the lizard one. I really want to do those because, again, they're like the Quaker vintage style with a twist. Primitive is another word for the kind of style that I like, with a twist. So yeah, so this is from Just Cross Stitch magazine, and I actually get to access this digitally through my local library. And I get a little pop-up every time a new issue of Just Cross Stitch or Cross Stitcher magazine becomes available, and I immediately browse through it and pull whatever patterns I want and save the PDFs. In the project vlog for this piece, when it is finished, I'm going to include a little tutorial on how you can do that as well. So I got all of this done in March, and now it's going away until I finish my April projects. And again, I just have it in a small plastic bag that I got. What is this? Oh, this was the bag that my sock project bag came in. Bags upon bags. So, all right, one more new start, and it's also cross stitch, but there really isn't much to see with this one because I haven't gotten very far on it. One more new start, and this is a cross stitch one, and there's not a ton to see on it, so I'm gonna pop up a picture. It is the frog skeleton by Raven Stitch Craft as well. I just thought it was adorable. I'm changing the colors around a little bit, a lot bit. There's only 3 colors, and I'm changing 2 of them, so I'm changing a lot of it. 66%, 2/3. This is what it looks like. Oops. This is what it looks like so far. So the frog, the body of the frog, I'm going to do in green. The skeleton of the frog, I'm going to do in glow in the dark, which shows up white when it's not glow in the dark. And then the blush, I'm going to keep the same pink color. And instead of the red Ada, I'm doing it on the black Ada. So again, it's just 14 count Ada. I've got it off of Amazon. Super cheap, nice and stiff. But this is my April project, and I honestly haven't gotten very far on it yet. I know it's not April yet, and I shouldn't have started my April projects, but I was excited. So those are my whips for the moment, which means it's time that I talk to you about why I've been talking about my projects for April, my projects for March, and what WhipGo is. So I just discovered WhipGo. I haven't been big in the cross-stitch online community since 2018, probably, and I don't think WhipGo was around then, but I have ADHD, and I enjoy gamifying my tasks because that helps me get them done. So imagine my delight when I discovered that there was a large community of cross-stitch people who also gamified their whips. And gamifying just means turning something into a game. So WhipGo is a bingo style challenge. You create a board, you fill it with 25 whips or 25 chunks of whips. In my case, I have one knitting board that has different categories of prompts. So I do have all of the rest of the saltwater mittens on there by name, but then the other prompts are like a cardigan from the Me Made Wardrobe project or a pullover from the Me Made Wardrobe project, not a specific project. In terms of my cross stitch WhipGo, I have 1,500 stitches or 24 10 by 10 blocks, depending on the project, for the Celtic Goddess, because I'm not stitching some of the the squares, it's just a lot easier for me to keep track if I just keep track of the number of 10 by 10 blocks that I'm doing. So for that one, it's 24, each month is 24 blocks. For the other projects, it's 1,500 stitches, which might seem like a lot to some people, might not seem like a lot to some people, but I think it's pretty good to ease me back into cross stitching, especially because there is knitting projects that I want to do as well. So you create this bingo board in December. I created mine in March because that's when I discovered the challenge. And then on the 25th of the month previous, the organizer will call 2 numbers, and those are your project prompts for that month. So in this case, for March, the numbers were 1 and 10. So for me, that was working on Celtic Goddess and the Spooktacular Sampler, 1,500 stitches or 24 blocks on each. I got those goals done, and then I also got the goals for February done. I'm kind of working backwards to catch up to the rest of the year. The new numbers for April were announced a couple days ago, and so the projects that came up for me were Sora and Kyrie, 1,500 stitches, and the Frog Skeleton, 1,500 stitches, which conveniently also happened to be the exact same call that it would have been for January. So if I can get 3,000 stitches on each of them done, I will be completely caught up in my whip go for the year. So that is kind of my goal for April. I'm embracing the cross stitch bug. I'm not trying to force myself to knit if I don't feel like knitting. My projects for April are the Grenfell mittens and a Me Made wardrobe project pullover. Now, doing an entire sweater in a month is not feasible for me, and really it's doing an entire sweater in 2 weeks, because each block on each square on the whipco board should be about 2 weeks of work realistically for yourself, and 2 weeks of work realistically on a sweater is not a full sweater. So my goal for the citrine is to get it to the underarm, get the back to the underarm, which is about 18 inches of knitting altogether. I've done about 6 at this point, so that's a good, reasonable, decent goal for me. If I get a little bit more, great. If I don't, that's fine too. And then for the Grenfell mets, because those do only take me a few days of actual working time, the goal for that is to finish a pair of mitts. So this has been super fun. I really love gamifying my projects. I've seen a bunch of other floss tubers who use the whipco board in addition to a wheel spin. I use the wheel spin myself when I'm not sure what I want to work on, and or even just to bring a little variety into my life. So it's been a lot of fun. So if I mention whipco, it's because that's my whipco call for April, for example, is the project that the whipco gods have decided that I am working on for that month. But I also know myself, and I know that having too strict of a goal is going to be detrimental to myself. So I'm also just using them more as a guideline. If I don't get it done, that's fine. I can catch up at another date. If I don't feel like working on that project that day, it's fine. I can switch to something else. But right now it's more motivation than it is a drag. So I'm riding that high. So the 2 projects for cross stitch for April are the ones that are in the frames. And when I finish those 3,000 stitches on each of those, then I might pick up another one if I've finished something else. The only other little project that I'm working on, it's super tiny. I'm not even really counting it as a whip. It's a sample for the Etsy store. But I am making these scissor fobs. If you're familiar with the game Valorant, I do have a Valorant pattern up in my Etsy store, but it's an FPS first-person shooting game. And you have a little gun buddy that hangs off of your weapon. And one of the most highly sought after gun buddies in the game is the Riot Buddy, because you can only get it from someone who works for the company that produces the video game. So I have made a very small Riot Buddy, which is going to become a scissor fob keychain pincushion type deal. because it's like a scissor buddy, like for your weapon. It's funny. So I'm working on this. It's going to be a little sample for the Etsy store. I'm doing several different of the gun buddies, the more sought after gun buddies. I'm going to do designs for all of them, but I wanted to start with the Riot Buddy because it's the most well known. So I'll probably keep working on this. Like I started this last night at like 10 o'clock. So I'll probably finish it today. I'm going to film a little tutorial on how to put them together and include that with the pattern, but it'll also go up on this channel, so you guys will be able to see it as well. Okay, that was a lot of talking, and I feel like I sped through it pretty quickly. If you have any questions about any of my whips, if there's anything you would like more detail on, please let me know down below in the comments. I'm kind of not used to people being super interested in the things that I'm super interested in. So if I talk quickly about them or not include as much detail, it's because I think I'm boring people. But at the same time, you clicked on this video. You've watched this video for at least half an hour now. I think you're interested in what I have to say. Probably. But those are the projects. Not a lot of projects going on at the moment for me. I don't have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things in active rotation. I've only got the 4, soon 5. But I'm happy with that. I feel good about my crafting choices. It's going to be a lot of cross stitch and a little bit of knitting, which is a-okay with me. So let's move on to community news. Community news. Yay, we have a community. It's cool. It's pretty small, but it's growing actively. If you want to join the community, all you have to do is subscribe to this YouTube channel, follow me on Twitch, or join the Discord, or all three. It's up to you. It's pretty fun. The Discord is a chat platform. We have a little server. You can share what you're working on, get tips and answers for your crafting questions, share pictures of your animals, get a little bit of daily sunshine. Yeah, it's a pretty fun, chill place to be. Of course, the link for that is going to be down in the description below. There is a new video up on the channel that just came out last week. That is the project blog for this, the Stripy Sleeves pullover. If you want to go give it a look, the link will be down below as well. I'm hoping to be able to do a project blog for everything that I finish from here on out. Some of them are going to be longer, some of them are going to be shorter. Some projects are going to be fairly straightforward. For example, the emotional support chicken, I haven't really run into any issues with it. It's just been fairly straightforward knitting. But please check that out. If you do have anything that you'd like to see in a project blog, let me know. Either on this video or on the project vlog video, and I will be happy to include those in future videos. Speaking of the Etsy store, I do have 3 new patterns that have recently released. By the time you watch this, there may be a 4th. I've got another one that's going to be ready to go in a day or 2. I have 2 cross-stitch patterns and a knitting pattern. The cross-stitch patterns are a very cute little game sprite of the Valorant agent Neon. So if you are a gamer or you have a gamer in your life who enjoys Valorant, I'm going to be doing the whole series of agents, including the newest agent, Clove. So keep an eye on that. You'll be able to purchase them individually or as a 5-stack. So Neon is currently the only one that's available, but more are coming. Again, if you're a gamer, the other cross-stitch pattern I released is The Happiest Day, which is a completely faithful reproduction of the Happiest Day minigame from FNAF 3. If you're unfamiliar with Five Nights at Freddy's, it is a very lore-heavy game, and a lot of the lore is given to you through these mini games. So The Happiest Day, this pattern, it's completely lore accurate. The balloons are the right colors and where they should be. All of the masks are correct. You can use this to interpret the lore as you wish. It is a massive piece because it is a totally faithful pixel by pixel representation of the minigame. The finished piece will be 6 inches tall by about 3 feet long. If you do it on 14 count Ada, Toot is working, or will shortly be working on a sample of it, so you'll be able to see it stitched up. I think it looks awesome. I'm really excited to see it all come together in person. Then the third pattern is a knitting pattern. Again, I'm really excited about this one. I've been working on it for a while. This pattern is for the 4 Points hat. It is a top-down ribbed watch cap beanie toque style hat, but it can be done in any yarn, any needles, without swatching. So if you need a really simple go-to hat pattern that's going to fit whoever you're making it for, and that you don't really have to think a whole lot before you get it started, this is going to be the pattern for you. You start at the top, you increase for a couple of inches, then you measure your work, and I include a complete guide on how to work out the math as to how many stitches that you then need to continue increasing to, and then you just knit it straight as long as you have yarn left. It's a fantastic pattern, if I do say so myself. I've had several people test it for me, and they've all quite enjoyed it. And yeah, I think it's a great pattern for gift knits because due to the whole thing is done in 2x2 rib, so it's really stretchy and it fits really well. There is a child size and an adult size, and those should fit pretty much everyone between the two of you. So go check out the Etsy, and then like I said, there might be another pattern coming soon. I'm working on the Scissor Buddies and several new patterns as well, both cross stitch and knitting. So on the channel, what can you expect? We are doing live streams on Monday and Friday, and for the foreseeable future, they're going to be crafting live streams. I'm not going to be doing much more gaming unless a game comes along that I super want to share with you guys. So definitely check out the live streams. They are Monday and Friday at 6:30 p.m. at the moment. If there are any changes in the schedule, you will find that out either on the Discord or by following the Instagram. I might also start doing a community post here on YouTube. I don't want to like bother people with too many notifications is the thing, and you're already getting notifications when I go live. So if you are able to join the live streams, I super appreciate it. They're really chill, really low key. You don't have to interact at all if you don't want to. You can just sit and watch. They will be available on the channel afterwards as well for you to rewatch. It's just me listening to some lo-fi, working on a project, and chatting with whoever happens to be around. It's very, very chill. We have one on Monday to get your week started and one on Friday to get your week wrapped up. So yeah, I hope that you can come and join us. I do say that they are good for body doubling, and this is a phrase that I've been using quite a bit, is body doubling. And I realize that not everybody might know what body doubling is. So you're probably doing it already if you are a person who watches a lot of Flosstube or watches a lot of YouTube, especially longer videos. But body doubling is it's essentially doing a task in the presence of another person. And that other person doesn't have to be doing the same task as you, and they also don't have to be directly helping you with your task. They're just there, and just having somebody else around helps you stay focused and helps you stay present and kind of almost distracts you from the task itself. So for example, you could put this video on and then get up, and while it's playing, while you can hear it, go and do the dishes or something like that. That would be body doubling. If you want to go and tidy your room, if you want to work on a knitting project of your own, something like that, and you just like having some company, that's what body doubling is for. It's also really good in the year of our Lord COVID. It helps with those feelings of loneliness and isolation from being at home so much or from working from home. It just gives you more of a sense of community. So that's why I always say that my videos are great for body doubling. You don't have to interact. You can just put me on in the background, and occasionally I will say comforting things like, you got this. And hopefully you got this. So definitely check out the live streams. And then after the fact, if you are trying to get some work done around the house, try throwing on a live stream. It doesn't have to be me. It can be any other creator on this channel, it can be any other creator on YouTube or Twitch. But try it. You might like it. So also coming up on the channel, and I do want to get your feedback on this as well, is I'm planning several new videos. One is going to be DH's guide to garments for big boys, and it's going to be my guide on how to get the measurements that are going to work for garments for you, how to size up patterns that may not go up to your size. So I'm hoping it'll be really helpful, not only for people who are plus size, but also for anyone else who isn't sure how to make a garment fit themselves really, really well, who struggle with it. Things like trying to figure out how to make sleeves that fit you the way that you want them to fit. So I'm working on that video, and right now I'm just kind of gathering information. So if there's a specific question on this topic that you have, please let me know. You can leave it down in the comments, or if you pop into one of the live streams, you can let me know then. Because I'm trying to answer as many questions as I can with one tutorial, but I don't know what everyone's questions are quite yet. So let me know if you have any questions about resizing garments, about finding size inclusive garments, about getting measurements of your own body, what measurements you should be getting, how you can get the most accurate measurements, that kind of thing, what to do about ease and what to do about shaping. Let me know. Let me know your questions for sure. One last piece of community news. We have a new community member. This was sent to me by a friend. This is Kyle. What the heck is up, Kyle? I love him. He is my son, and I love him. Anyways, welcome back to the 90s. Furbies are a thing again. Thanks, Kyle. Kyle's a gamer. All right, so that is it. From me and Kyle, we are going to wrap things up here. Thank you so much for joining me today and spending a little bit of time with me. So right about now, you should see some buttons popping up around my head. This one is pretty cool. If you click this one, you will subscribe to the channel. And if you hit one of these buttons, you will see another one of my videos. So in the meantime, I will see you guys on the Discord. I'll see you on Twitch. I will see you in the live streams. And as always, I will see you in my heart. From me and Kyle, bye guys.